This podcast is part of the Zeo to Hero Podcast Network.
AvenuePodcast.net.
Hello, all my beautiful people. It's time for another fun episode of If You Give a Dad a Podcast. And I just want to say thank you to all the people who are tuning in right now. Welcome to the show. Whether you be a long-time listener or if this is your first time tuning into the show, welcome and thanks for being here. So this week I have with me Franco Varga. He is a wrestler who is based out of the Delaware area, but he wrestles all around the world, from the UK to Australia to Brazil, China, Japan, Mexico, even Chile. He has been all over the place, and he's got some new places that he's going to be going to soon, and we talk about that in this episode as well. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this conversation that I had with him today. It was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what he does next, and maybe to have him back on the show even. And for those of you who are here just to listen to the Franco Varga episode, welcome. I hope that you enjoy what you hear, and I hope that you stick around and listen to some of the other great episodes I have here as well. So, if you guys are as excited as I am, then let's get this show on the road.
If You Give a Dad a Podcast.
You're bloody welcome!
You know?
Hey, Dad.
If I get my hand stuck in a pickle jar, I'm straight up bull in a china shop, just swinging around.
Started writing songs when I was about 12 or so.
Seriously?
They're retrofitting me now, and
I'm like, yes, finally.
I've also had the opportunity to go train with Hoist Gracie and Dan Severn.
Wow.
I like that. That's different. Stands out.
That day I took my very first bump and it was fun.
There's only one section to go to first.
Yeah.
Toys.
Bro.
I was like, no, man, surely this guy's not booked out that long.
I haven't laughed that hard since I was a little girl.
What?
Man, this guy won't shut up.
And just a reminder before we get started here, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to iGadap wherever it is you're listening to. Hit that notification bell so you are notified when a new episode drops. Also, make sure that you go out there and rate and review this episode. Tell me what you think of it. And the more people that do that, the more likely I am to be recommended to somebody else. Now, on to the show. All right, everybody. So this was one that I'm really stoked about doing. I've actually been talking to this guy since I think about June, of last year, about getting him on the show. He's a very busy man. He wrestles all over the world, actually. And I'm talking about Franco Varga. Man, how are you doing today?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, sorry. I just been, like you said, I've been wrestling all over the world. So,
yeah.
But we got it done. We're here.
We are here. Yeah, I think I was looking at your stuff, and you've been to UK and Australia and Brazil and now recently China even. How was that?
Yep. Man, China was awesome. It was surreal for them to just the way they accepted me into the culture. And it was a lot to learn culturally in the week that I was there. But, I mean, it was a hell of a match. To main event, I know I made a little bit of history in that match. I know from what the Chinese newspapers and bloggers and stuff told me, I was the first Hispanic man to ever not only wrestle in China, but to main event in China. So
that's got to be an honor then.
Just the way it was so surreal. They were downstairs by the hotel room, and just the whole time the fans are so welcoming and so they're in awe. I'm not a small man, so I get that, but they were very much in awe of the presence and all that. So I was very happy with the trip, and for them to reschedule my return before I even left, that's what we all want. So yeah, China was amazing.
Well, I mean, I think I saw something about, didn't Chris Jericho do some coverage on that as well?
Yeah, like he needs the shout out, but shout out to Chris Jericho. He's someone that I met in Las Vegas years and years ago, and Instagram's such a weird place. I mean, you just forget who follows you and who follows what.
Right.
But he was very big on, the main event and pushing the main event and pushing Chinese wrestling. And then he showed up in a show in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
and that's kind of, you know, what's next for me is I'm doing a lot more Asian countries this after the summer. So I've done Japan, I've done China now, but I want to do Vietnam and Singapore, and those are all kind of being worked on as we speak. But for Chris, he was just like, it's a weekend off. He doesn't have Fozzy, doesn't have didn't have AEW, and he was like, this Vietnam place is really intriguing, and everybody's really kind of looking at pro wrestling in Asia.
Yeah.
So he popped up on a Vietnamese wrestling show, and I blew them away.
Wow.
So
funny. Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's not like he needs it, but I mean, when you have a love for something like this, you know,
right.
Just wherever you go, you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, to me, I mean, he's a huge inspiration for me. So like, it was such an honor to have him kind of shout me out and tag me and talk about me on the episode that he kind of covered the Chinese wrestling, and it was like kind of same thing, like you said, you know, this guy's been all over, and this is you know, one of the unsung heroes of wrestling, which I don't feel that way, but yeah, sure, you know. I think, you know, when people follow my story, they know that I was early on. I had some, you know, entanglements with the WWE early on, but
yeah,
I decided it's not what I wanted for my life. And then I don't know if it's an ego thing or what, but I wanted to be my own man. I wanted to be my own brand, and I kind of wanted to give it a go. And I was hugely inspired by Colt Cabana and guys like that, that were around me at the time. So yeah, I gave it a shot. I'm like, you know what? Let me see what I can do without the big brands behind me and the big logos. And I think I've done okay.
It seems to. Yeah, you seem to have done pretty good. I mean, and I can totally respect that. You know, you wanted to be your own man. And, you know, not everybody is willing to take that route. It's not always the easier route that way. But if you have what it takes, then, you know, I mean, you're going to do fine. And it seems to be working great for you.
Yeah, you know, and just for like my fans that have followed me, like, and like there's a lot of unanswered like questions, and like I was at OVW and I've done a little bit with Impact and stuff. I was like, why didn't you stay there and go there? And it's just like, just wasn't for me. You know, I think I love American wrestling, but like sometimes wrestling in America just wasn't for me. I wanted to branch out. I wanted to do other things. I wanted to, you know, England became a second home for me, and I was on TV in England so much that I was just like, well, I mean, maybe there's other TV outside of, you know, USA Network.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, they started calling you the Queen's favorite wrestler over there, didn't
they? Yeah, that is.
How did that come about, actually?
So, the first Road to Glory, you know, I was a big favorite. I mean, this is a show that had, you know, gosh, there's a lot of guys on that show. Jeff Cobb, MJF, before he really, you know, like he was right on the cusp of like when AEW was brand new. MJF, Sugar Dunkerton, myself. I mean, Matt Riddle. I mean, there was a bunch of guys on that Road to Glory that really helped me get to other places. But they put me in the quarterfinal, and the fans took to me, and I took to the fans because I love wrestling in England.
Yeah.
And they started calling me the Queen's favorite, and then it really took off when you know, when COVID hit and all the borders were closed everywhere.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, you know. Right. And the 9th anniversary show for Preston City Wrestling was a big show, sold out crowd. They had myself and Chris Masters on the show. Chris couldn't make it. He tried to, got stopped, couldn't make it. But I was let through, so of course the fans were like, "He's the Queen's favorite wrestler." So immediately, you know, that's why they let him through. He's the Queen's favorite. And I had one of my favorite matches against a guy named Roy Johnson, big wavy. He was in NXT UK and all that.
Okay,
great guy. But yeah, it was a hell of a match, and I was just like, man, like I'm the only import since COVID. I was like, wow, a little bit of history there too, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, like this is like surreal, you know? It's kind of crazy how it all played out.
Right.
But yeah, I was the first import wrestler allowed into England since the borders closed for COVID. So wow. Yeah, it was nuts.
It's got to be kind of weird after having COVID happen, traveling to another country. I imagine that it's kind of nerve-wracking at first.
It was, but like, I mean, I had to do the responsible thing. And like with wrestling, it's always go, 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 go. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every weekend. But because I was wrestling internationally and with all the COVID, there was a 14-day kind of period where you shouldn't do anything. So it kind of was a little slow for me because I would take the 14 days off leading up to the international weekend. So even though I was wrestling, it seemed like all through COVID, which was like I was doing I was a heavyweight champion at School of Morton. I was down in North Carolina doing the American Lucha Wrestling stuff. Where I was a champion there. And then I was starting my own product, the first time ever product with all the boys at Global Fight Pass. And I was doing a lot, but when it came down to going to Japan or going back to England, I was like, hey, I can't do nothing for 2 weeks. And it would kind of throw off the whole schedule. But I was like, you know what? Respect to them. I have to do it out of respect to them. It's not a cheap flight. It's not cheap to bring me over. It's not cheap to have me there. So out of respect to them, I just would sit home and I got to do things that I normally didn't get to do. I got to finally beat the Fallout games, and I got to do a lot of working out. My family at home were just like, it's a little weird. Why are you home? Like, are you injured or you're just home? Yeah. Like, it was just weird to have me home. So it was a good and a bad feeling at the same time. Right. Aren't you supposed to be somewhere? So yeah. So
But I still haven't beat the Fallout games, by the way. My favorite one is New Vegas. Love that.
New Vegas is awesome. Yes. Yeah. 76 was kind of a letdown. It is what it is. They tried something new and it didn't work. But
I've heard it's gotten better. Though.
It has. I haven't played it since I beat it, but
okay.
I don't know about everybody else out there, but I'm a big I play it, I beat it, and then I don't touch it again. I don't really what do they call that? Prestige. I don't prestige a bunch and all that. Same thing with Call of Duty. I'll play it, I'll get killed a bunch and I'll rank up all the way through it, and then it's just like, hey, prestige, and start over. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. And I just put it down. Never played again.
That's great. I'm the exact opposite. I even like go as far as me and my son collect like old game consoles and stuff. Oh, nice. So like I have a PS2, a PS3, a GameCube, and an Xbox 360 out here in the garage where I'm at recording. I've got like a little setup out here, and then my son has the 64 and the Wii U in his room. And then my daughter, she wanted the newer console, so she has like an Xbox Series S, but we're still trying to get some of the older consoles and stuff too, because I'm big into the nostalgia when it comes to like the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube and stuff.
Oh man, you're gonna hate me. I have one of each. Yeah, and it's just because I never got rid of them. I wasn't even trying to collect them. I just have them. I don't know. I've always kept them around. And even when my wife, when she was my girlfriend, she was just like, why do you have all these old Nintendos and stuff? Because they're all Nintendos, the girls.
Exactly.
Yeah, why do you have all these Nintendos around? And I'm just like, I don't know, because they used to work and I have games for them, and I don't know. So I have a original Nintendo, a Super Nintendo, and the N64. I have a Dreamcast that still works.
Oh wow!
I have a Dreamcast that still works. I have the Nintendo Cube. Yeah. What was that called? The cube, the purple cube one. I forget what it was called. GameCube. Yeah, I have one of those. I have the original Xbox, which was day one. Yeah. Funny story about that. I remember going to Toys R Us. Remember Toys R Us?
I sure do.
I'm like dating myself. But I went with my dad to Toys R Us, and we stood in line in New York City and got day one Xbox. And it still works with a huge controller and all that. I don't have my original 360 because I got the Red Ring of Death more than a few times.
Oh no!
But I do have one of those. But it's not the original.
Yeah. Mine was actually free. I went to a local game shop, and they were about to throw it away. They was like, "You can have it if you think you can fix it." I was like, "Okay."
Oh wow!
I got it home, and the only thing that was wrong with it was the lights that go around the power button that tells you what controllers are connected. It didn't light up that. Everything else is fine.
No way. Oh, that's awesome.
So
that's awesome. Better. Yeah. I mean, especially because it's probably worth a couple $100 back then. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Hold on to your GameCube, because right now that's the thing in high demand, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember when there were a ton of them.
Oh,
People were like building things with GameCubes. There were so many of them.
Yeah. And especially like the games and stuff, like Paper Mario, I think is like $125 now.
Wow, dang.
Yeah. So,
I don't know what games I have for it yet. I know I got a Wii U when my kid was like super little. I never really, I think I played bowling once and got frustrated with it. I never played it again. And I think tennis, maybe that was it.
Yeah.
But
throw your arm
I
out
never
with
really,
that stuff.
Well, I saw all the videos of people breaking their TVs with it, and I was like,
yeah.
I better stop, you know. so yeah, I never really gave it a chance, but I do have one of those. This is such a weird console.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I remember I actually did throw out my arm playing baseball on there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So.
Oh no. Yeah.
But,
you wouldn't think I mean, now I can't say that. I was gonna say you wouldn't think video games would be so dangerous, but now with all the VR stuff, I don't know if you've seen all the people running into walls and all that with all the VR stuff. So it's only gonna get worse.
Chasing somebody around the house, about to hit them and stuff.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
When I was in China, I actually just watched. There's a company that's developing VR wrestling, and I not a video game, but just like a VR wrestling experience where you can purchase like a front row seat, or you can purchase a ticket like way in the back or whatever. But it's all on a VR headset, and it's like they're gonna change the game when they figure that out and put it to market. It's really gonna change how you watch pay-per-views or what do they call them now? PLEs now, premium live events now.
Yep.
So it's really going to change streaming with pro wrestling. It was actually pretty cool to see.
Yeah. So it'd be like actual live events that you would be watching on there?
Yeah. That's what they're working on. Yeah, it's almost, they got it pretty much down. They have a few MMA companies, and of course the big. I was over there for Middle Kingdom Wrestling, the big company in China. They got I think it was 40,000. Man, they had to turn people away. It was nuts.
Wow.
It was an awesome experience for me to see that pro wrestling's still alive,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a big company in China, in mainland China. And then you have Hong Kong pro wrestling, which another big thing about China that they don't really teach us here is Hong Kong and China are kind of like two different countries in a way. So you kind of, you come in, you do the customs and border patrol in Hong Kong. And this was my experience. You come in and do the border customs and border patrol in Hong Kong. And then you have to get on a bullet train to mainland China, which the big show for me was in Shenzhen. Okay. And then you have to go through customs and border patrol again. And I was just like, this is a little weird, So I asked my translator, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And they were like, oh, you have to redo. And I was like, this wasn't in the notes, for the booking. I was like, this wasn't in the notes. But then no, this is how it works. And they explained it to me, and I was like, oh, okay. So it's just kind of like crossing into another country, even though it's still China. So it was awesome though. It was very different. For sure.
That is I'm very surprised to hear that at everything. Just, just like you said, you would think it's the same country. And so you wouldn't have to do that. But,
and the thing about growing up American that I saw going to China, especially for wrestling, because I had a work visa and all that. So they took care of all that for me. But you really don't learn the things we're taught here about China. You really don't really when you get there, you're like, wait a minute, this is all wrong. I don't know if that's on purpose or what, but I was like, this is all wrong. They speak very good English. They even had some American outlets in Hong Kong, not in mainland China, but in Hong Kong, they had, you could plug your American outlet stuff right into the wall. So, I was just like, whoa. And even the UK stuff, they had a lot of UK outlets there too. Right. So the hotel I was in was, it had, it didn't even have the Chinese socket. It had the UK socket, and it had the American socket right above it. And I was like, wow, this is so strange, know? But yeah, English was awesome in Hong Kong. And then when you cross in, English is not so good, but I had an awesome translator. He was the man. He was great. Took care of me for sure.
Well, one thing that as you were doing the strip and everything that I got to see that I found pretty funny was the videos that you and Ryan were doing.
Oh yeah.
Where he's putting the money down the front of your singlet and everything, and you guys on the plane and all that.
Yep. So Ryan manages all the stuff I do. So Ryan's why I'm able to do a lot. It seems like I'm doing so much, but Franco Varga is just not one guy. There's Ryan, there's Shane, there's a lot of there's a lot of people that help me.
Yeah.
And I've always said, you can be by yourself and make 100% of nothing, or have a team and make a percentage of something.
Right. Yeah.
So I love my team; those guys are phenomenal. But Ryan's big on content is king. That's his thing. Content. So he's always got me doing all these Hey Franco videos that are always catching on with a ton of comments. And it's crazy the things that people ask in the comments. I'm like, wow, like I would never ask somebody that, but that's what he does. He encourages them to ask. And then we try to do a little comedic things with wrestling, like you saw with the singlet, stuffing the money in the singlet and all that. So and then we try to do some controversial things like whose armrest is it? I've always said the driver gets the armrest, but I guess people are split on that. So,
I agree with you.
We try to. Yeah, I think so too, right?
Yeah.
But it depends on who you ask.
I guess.
I guess my wife takes up the armrest and all the cup holders, so I just kind of sit there and drive.
Mine is kind of the passenger princess in our car.
Passenger princess, yeah. So again, depends on who you ask. I mean, I think the driver should get the front cup holder and the armrest, but
exactly.
Who knows?
Not us, apparently.
No, not us.
So I do kind of want to take it back a little bit here and ask you, what actually got you into wrestling?
Yeah, so it's crazy story, but like I was invited by a friend who had an invite. He sent my picture and I didn't know at the time. Like a lot of people, I stopped watching after the Attitude Era was over. So like Stone Cold left, Rock left, Jericho left, all those guys left. So I was kind of like, all right, that was cool. Wrestling happened, and it kind of moved on with my life. And so he's just like, yeah, man, it's this thing. It's wrestling. And I'm like, oh, wow, you're trying out for the WWE? And he's like, no, it's independent wrestling. And I'm like, the hell is that?
Yeah.
So he's like, just come with me. I'll send you a picture. Cool. We went. And I didn't know at the time it was Gerald Briscoe's. He was holding a camp, like a tryout kind of thing.
Okay.
And lo and behold, my friend didn't get picked, but I did. So it was a super awkward drive back home.
Yeah.
It was like 2.5 hours back. And I was like, yeah. And he was just like, are you gonna go? And I was like, I think I am. And then for 2 months, this was in when I was still at Wyoming, and he sent me to Colorado to get trained. And then after that, there was some stuff for like Puerto Rico and all that. So there's a lot. Like Gerald definitely opened so many doors for me. But when it came time, he's just like, hey, so do you wanna do the WWE thing? I mean, we can kind of start working that way. And I was just like, no. And like, I know I kind of, you kind of let somebody down a little bit. You know what I mean? At the time, I was like, no. And he was just like, oh. But we stayed in touch, and we still, to this day, we stay in touch. And I still, when I get to see him, it's awesome. But I think it's worked out for me. And every time I have something like, there's only two people that I text when I do something big, and that's him and Ron Simmons. And
cool.
Like when I did the main event in China and all that, and the picture that's out, that's now my profile picture, I texted to both of them and said, look, guys, thank you so much for everything. Look what I just accomplished. And they remind me that I've done nothing compared to them, but they're proud.
Yeah.
So, and it's just, guys giving each other a hard time, but
that's good.
But yeah, man, it's those two guys have taught me so much, and they didn't have to do any of that. And they, I'm able to like text them and call whenever I have a question.
Yeah.
And even when I get like frustrated about the business, like there's a lot about the business that can frustrate you if you care too much. And I've, it took me a couple years to kind of like, okay, I need to stop caring about those things and kind of just focus, on myself and focus on what I can control,
Right.
But like when you don't, when you just want to help everybody, it kind of just blows up in your face. So
it does.
So they've taught me that, you got to focus and it's a tough world, tough skin,
Yeah, definitely. So you brought up a name there, and I wanted you to kind of tell the story on how did you actually get to know Ron Simmons?
Yeah. So, the story. It's people always say we met on the 30-day tour in Canada that he was headlining in, and actually 2 weeks before that we met in a small show in Delaware, and of all places, and we did the thing where his thing is damn. He says the thing damn, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was a bad guy, and we did the whole thing where like I should be telling him not to say it and really rallying up the crowd. So there's an old video out there of me just being like, don't say it, don't you say it, don't say it, don't you say it. And I swing a chair at him, chair bounces off the rope, hits me in the head, and then he goes, damn. And it was like, and it's one of those things that you want to save for TV because it's so good, but we just did it in a small town, couple hundred people.
Yeah.
And we didn't really speak after that. And then like 2 weeks later, we were on the tour. And we were in the same car for 30 days, and we just grew on each other. And there was so many, hard conversations but also really positive conversations. And he watched every one of my matches. He just every night he was on it. And because I was the featured star, of the tour on the wrestling side, so I was like, oh boy, like can't have a night off. So every night, and I took a night off, and he reamed me like I've never been yelled at before, and I needed that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to, and it's true. Those people paid to see. It doesn't matter how you feel, if you beat up, or sore, tired. You signed up for this. Those people paid to see you.
Right.
Show up.
Yep.
And that was like a hard lesson for me. And I was like, you know what? I need to do that. So, and I treat it like I do, every day. And that's something I also learned from Ron that I tell myself every time before I go out the curtain. Get over all over again. It doesn't matter if they already know you. Treat it like it's your first night.
I like that.
And that's taught me to kind of just go at it 100% all the time. Even when people are just like, oh man, you're so smooth in there, and it just looks like you're just going through the motions. Like, no, I'm not. My whole thing is to look cool, but it's a lot of work just trying to look cool when you're not actually cool all the time. So yeah, ask my kid. He doesn't think I'm cool ever. So yeah,
believe me, I get that. I've got two teenagers, so
oh yeah, so yeah, man. So yeah, it's tough, trying to look cool and wrestle cool when you're not always cool. So
yeah, definitely
it takes a lot of effort.
So do you have a favorite opponent?
Oh boy, I mean, there's a lot, but I mean, if I had to pick one, geez, I mean,
it's a hard one. I know.
I think I've wrestled Simon Gotch like 10 times.
Oh,
to the
okay.
point where it's just like I see him and I'm like, I'll see you at the end of the night. And we'll just kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's one of those. I mean, same way with Carlito. I think we've wrestled each other. Good Lord, at least double digits.
Wow.
Yes, I mean, those kinds of matches. I love wrestling those kinds of guys. But my favorite match that I'm super like happy about how the turnout and the actual, the doors that it opened, and just the match itself. It was with Bryan Cage for the X Division title. It was one of those that you kind of, that match you kind of get with your grandkids and go, watch this. I used to be something, that'll be the match.
That's a good one to hang your hat on him.
Yeah, that'll be the match for me versus Bryan for the X Division title. Hell of a guy, hell of a worker, man, hell of a wrestler.
Yeah, he is. I actually I have a friend here who kind of knows him and who's had him on his podcast and stuff, and was able to get him on right before he debuted on AEW, and he was like, yeah, he tells the story all the time to me about it, and he's like, he was like, oh, hold on just a minute, I can't be on your podcast yet, but I promise I'll explain here in a minute. Well, then he showed up on AEW, and afterwards he texted him and was like, that's why now I can be on your podcast. So but he awesome. Seems like a really cool guy. That's somebody I would like to meet.
Oh, phenomenal. One of the realest guys, and he is so busy. So
yeah,
I respect his hustle too. And, so he's not only with just wrestling, but he's bodybuilding, and
right.
It's a lot, so
yeah,
man, he's top guy for sure.
Yeah. So I know you're about to go somewhere new when it comes to wrestling. I think I saw you're going to be going to Spain. Is it in March?
Yeah. Yep. In March, debut in Spain. Apparently, I just found out the seminar is sold out. So,
oh wow,
and that's a misconception that's about me. Like, I don't like to do seminars and all that. I don't like to do so many of them.
Yeah.
Like I'll do one when it's my first time somewhere in a country or whatever, and then you won't see me do one for years. Like not that I don't want to be exclusive or like not teach or anything like that. And I that's something about me. I'll never open a wrestling school. And I know that probably breaks a lot of hearts out there, but I don't have the patience for it. I like to deal with already trained wrestlers. And my seminar is different. I'm not gonna teach you how to wrestle. I'm gonna teach you how to make money doing this.
Yeah.
On the ways, the tips, and the tricks, and then the stuff that I feel is important when you want to start making money doing it. That's my seminar. So I always ask, like, at least 3 years wrestling,
Yeah.
Because that's when I didn't make any money for 3 years. So I figured, okay, 3 years, most guys should be at the point where, okay, maybe we start turning a profit.
Right. Yeah. I talk to a lot of the independent wrestlers and stuff around here. I'm in the Northwest Arkansas area. So, nice. I've got the guys in Oklahoma and Missouri and Arkansas and Texas is mostly who I talk with. And, it's nice to see, when they first start out and then them kind of building over time. And,
right.
Because I remember there's one guy, his name is Logan Knight. And
I know Logan.
Yeah, he was one of my first episodes. I think he was at least in my first 20 episodes. And nice. He hadn't been wrestling for very long, I don't believe, at that time. And then this past year, I think on the Oklahoma fans, he was number 1 in the top 50 Oklahoma wrestlers, So he's one who's moved up a lot. He's developed so much over time, and it's really cool to see that happen with these newer wrestlers.
Yeah, I don't buy into the list things too much. Not even not even the PWI one. Just because, and I've always said, like, unless Bret Hart and The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels are making a list,
then
I'll care. But I mean, it's I think it hurts. It hurts a lot of guys, these listings, and there's all sorts of different lists or whatever, and they just read too much into it, and it's just like, my list, here's my list, the guys that can do this full time and make a living just wrestling, where's that list?
Right.
That's the list I want to see.
Yeah.
The rest of it, I just and I encourage every wrestler out there to just take it how you want it, but just kind of tip your hat and keep pressing on.
Yeah, definitely. Over time you will, gain more and more exposure. And even with like what I'm doing here, when I first started doing this, I got maybe 10 listens, to an episode. And, now I get, somewhere around 3,000 a month, and so it's,
nice.
Grown a lot. And it's because of the amount of exposure and time that I put into this. And it's that way with anything, if you put the time and effort into it, you're going to see some true results.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't even understand Instagram when I first started using it, and now it's pretty much all I use, and I'm at like 600 likes for anything I post. So
that's cool.
So yeah, it's like you said, it's a grind. You got to build stuff.
Yep. So do you prefer to be a heel or a face?
In America, I'm a heel.
Okay.
Most of the time I'm a heel. Outside of America, I'm a face. And in China, the word wrestler doesn't really translate, so they made me kind of like a tweener, like in between.
Okay.
But the fans kind of, they made me a face, so it was easy for me there. But actually, funny enough, because I'm the moniker now is Big Bad Franco Varga. I know. I did Biggest Wrestler Ever for years and years, but when you translate that to Chinese, it's on TV it was Big Evil. So I was like, oh, okay, Big Evil, that's pretty cool. So I kind of ran with it, and And there was some. Oh man, I think they told me we almost broke the Billy, which is their version of like Twitter.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I did the World's Strongest Slam on 2 guys at once.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's not something you see every day over there, and they were just like tons of I guess I'm gonna call it retweets. I can't pronounce what they would call it, but so I'm just gonna call it retweets. But yeah, there was a bunch of retweets and stuff. And they were like, "Oh crap, you better open an account now." So they opened an account for me. So it was awesome.
That's cool. Well, it was funny. Yeah. You could hear the crowd react to when you just go. You hadn't even picked them up yet, but they knew exactly what was coming. And as soon as you got them up, they were like, "Oh!"
Yeah, I'm like it's storytelling. It's pro wrestling is what I love. It's when it's done right. And funny part about that is everybody wants to wrestle internationally, but careful what you wish for, because one of the guys in that match spoke 0 English.
Oh,
0 English, 0 anything else. I've looked out and I've wrestled some Japanese guys that spoke Spanish because I speak Spanish. So I've looked out. A lot of the Japanese guys go to Mexico to do their excursions and stuff.
Right.
So that's how they learn Spanish. But the Slam, he's the first Chinese wrestler. And he spoke 0 English, 0 anything else, only Chinese.
Oh.
So I had to communicate in a way that, like wrestling, kind of lets you, but it was still super smooth. I'm super proud of that match. I think it's on Premier Streaming Network by now, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Super proud of that match. And it was just like he spoke English. It was just like this surreal thing,
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, that's, you run into those kinds of things,
Yeah, you don't think about that right away, but you are going to their country, and so not all the time are they going to speak a language that you speak. So yeah, nope. I didn't even think about that.
Yep. I mean, being just the big dumb American, I'm like, why don't you guys speak English? What's going on?
Right. What the heck?
No, I'm just kidding. But I was just like, oh, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge, and it actually was, and it was very pleasant. They were awesome, very receptive though, and they were big on the size difference too. They were just like, we gotta play up to the size difference, and
right.
And so they were, I was glad they were very open to it, because it's a dangerous move. I mean, it's not an easy move to pull off, but this is why we work out and never skip leg day, right?
Exactly. But the one that it looked like it was the worst on was the guy in the middle.
Yeah, I think so. That was the guy. That's the Slam. The guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was unfortunately the Oreo. He was the
cream in the middle. Yeah.
Yep. So not a good spot.
So, do you have a favorite fan interaction since you've been traveling everywhere?
Oh my goodness. Man, I'm going to be biased and say England again. I think, so this past year's Road to Glory, I made it all the way to the semifinal. And if you look, it's on YouTube. If you look at the video, I'm trying to give a post-match kind of speech, tell them I love them and how much I just love England and love the fan base. And they would not stop chanting and singing along the name, and it was surreal. Like, I had goosebumps even talking about it. It was just nuts, and I'm like, will you guys shut up so I can do this thing so I can leave? I'm all sweaty and tired and my day's over. I'm just want to, but I'm like, man, like, this is awesome. Like, these guys they're just into me as much as I'm into them, man. And it was just surreal. And I just kind of, I got through the post-match promo there, and I was just like, man, I got to go around, and I did. I went around and kind of hugged everybody, and there's all the fans there. There's some hardcore fans,
yeah,
and then there's English fans, and they're just, I mean, I've never been like offered so many beers and so many this take this. You're awesome.
Yeah.
Than all the times I've wrestled in England. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I think my exit from Road to Glory is one of those that, again, like you sit your grandkids down and go, watch this. I used to be the man. That's one of the clips for sure.
So I guess it's easy to say that's probably one of your favorite places to wrestle.
It's easily second home to me. And I mean, I've even I've been shot down a few times, but I've even brought up maybe we should move to England a couple times. Just because I love it over there so much. Yeah, but yeah, it's a killer fan base. I wish everybody could experience that.
Yeah. Well, I know there's another place that you've been quite a few times. I think whenever I talked to you in July, you said that this was going to be your 5th time going to Japan.
Yeah. It's it's another place that I know everybody wants to go, and it's been an experience, for sure. And I know, again, another funny story about Japan. The first time, everything's smaller, shower smaller.
Yeah.
So I go downstairs. I'm like, hey, is there a way I can get a shower head that's a little higher or something? Maybe switch me rooms. And I get handed a green hose. And they're like, sorry, this is what you get. Just connect this to the shower. So I'm sitting there showering like an elephant in my little hotel room, which is a nice hotel room. But I'm just like, wow. And then you go outside and they just gawk at you. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's not nice. That's, And I'm like, I can't I've learned a little bit of the language now, but like at the time I was like, what are they saying? Are these good things or So yeah, I mean it's an experience for sure, and it's some of the best wrestling there is too, because again it's a different fan base, right? And you can try different things, and it's not super experimental, but within the rules of wrestling, you can try a lot. And I mean, we've seen a lot of weird stuff come from China that's weird to us, people getting flipped by their crotch and people wrestling dolls, and there's a lot of stuff. So yeah, man, I think there's been a lot of discussion this year about maybe next year being an extended stay in Japan for me, so I can actually go back between China, Japan, and hopefully Singapore, and kind of do those loops. We'll see. We'll see, though. It's going to be weird being based out of a different country for once.
Yeah, definitely. Man, it's just crazy hearing all of this. But there was one thing that you said that I wanted to bring up. Talking about things that are smaller. I actually saw a video recently, and this was an apartment, and it was just an 8x8 room, and that was it. To the apartment. Like you could have a little mat on the floor, and like they had a community bathroom and all that. And you don't really understand, being in the United States, you don't understand how small things are whenever you go to someplace like Japan.
Mm-hmm. So everybody out there listening, imagine 6 foot tall, 275-pound Franco Varga in a hotel room that's 80 square feet.
Oh, wow.
That was my first really experience there. And I was like, oh, this is tiny.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, 80 square feet. That was my hotel room.
I might get claustrophobic.
Let's just say I went out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's a different life. It's a different life, different culture though. So like you can't really knock it because it's not how we grew up,
Right. Yeah.
Where to us, a 2-bedroom house, small.
Right.
But this is the 2-bedroom house mansion, so it's too much. So they don't live in excess, and that's their big thing, is they don't like to live in excess, and they don't really grow up that way. So it's not really different to them.
Right. Yeah. Every country's different, and I do like that they, they're almost minimalist, I guess, especially when it comes to like, they know how to use space way better than any of us ever would. So, a lot of things get folded up into the walls, and like, it's just crazy how they utilize the space. I would have never, a big thing though, that they will always have on us, I think, is technology. Technology is not, I saw the new, it's like a flip phone. It's a flip phone that's also a smartphone. I think it just came out like last year, right? Okay. Like the Z Flip.
I saw
Samsung
that,
or something, or not Samsung, because that's
it's like
Korean,
Samsung Flip or whatever.
Yeah.
I saw that in 2015 when I was there my first time.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yep. And I was like, how is this possible? And I saw that in 2015, and I just saw them come out last year, and everyone's like getting them and all that. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is old. This is the new. I'm like, oh, I forgot. So yeah, I saw that back then. So
yeah. Are you an anime guy at all?
Little. They taught me about like Gundam, and like I always watch, like I drop, typical, Dragon Ball Z, stuff like that, Pokemon. I was into the big mainstream stuff, but then
Right.
I got into like a little bit of the Gundam series and stuff like that.
Okay.
I started and finally finished Sailor Moon. When I was over there, I got kind of taught what in what order to watch it. So I did, but yeah, I mean, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I just asked because I have a lot of anime listeners on this show and stuff. And with you going to Japan and all that, I knew that they would enjoy that. I've had some voice actors and stuff in the anime world on the show. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, if you notice, since going to Japan, my T-shirt style has really changed, and it's a lot of that culture influenced. So like I've had anime style T-shirts and stuff come out and all that. So it's a huge influence.
Definitely. So do you have any hobbies?
When I have a little bit of time. Lately, it's been Overwatch 2. That's like what I'm really big on right now.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't really, I got a 1-year-old and keep me busy. He's in traveling basketball now. Like he's his own man now. But when I get a little bit of time in between the gym and all the hustle and bustle from the weekend wrestling, I turn on Overwatch 2 and I play a little bit of that. Or a lot of bit of that. when I can.
Yeah. So do you have any goals set for this next year?
Yeah, I think there's a short film that I'm hoping makes it through the budgeting. So I hope that we can knock that out, and there's a lot of that I'm not in control there. But I hope that that's one of my goals, knock that out of the park.
Yeah.
With that role. And then as far as wrestling, I mean, I really, really want to we have the first time ever out in now I can't say the first international first time ever because we did first time ever UK 1 and 2. But it's the first one in Canada. And I'm hoping my team knocks that out of the park. First time ever Canada, May 17th. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And then I really hope I get to stay healthy and kind of do this finish the loop,
Yeah.
Do Singapore and do Vietnam and China again after the summer. That's kind of what's slotted for me. It was being scheduled. So, but yeah, that's the goal right now. And of course, the show in Madrid in Spain. I want to knock that out of the park and do another killer seminar there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to be healthy and kind of do.
All right, man. Well, I mean, I've just got a few more questions for you before I get you off
Sure,
of here
course.
and everything. So do you have a favorite match?
Yeah, I mean, a favorite match for me or
yes,
favorite match,
a favorite match that you've had.
Oh, I think my favorite match is something that I'm gonna, maybe sit like I've said, sit down with my grandkids and be like, yeah, grandpa used to be somebody. 20, 30 years from now, it'll probably be versus Bryan Cage for the X Division title. Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites. There's some really good ones coming up that I don't think I can talk about yet. But there's the Eric Redbeard match. I think that show's gonna sell out. I think they're pretty close to selling out.
Yeah.
But that's another match that everyone's anticipating. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
So I hope that one's good. But for me, I mean, personally, I've had the most fun in anytime I've wrestled Carlito, of course. But I think for me, accomplishment wise, that's my favorite match. I've won tournaments. I won the Bolton Town Cup in England. Was a big one. That was a big one for English wrestling. But for me personally, if I had to boil it down to one match, I think
going toe to toe and damn near move for move with Bryan Cage, who I think is just top tier wrestler. I mean, the guy's huge and he can move like he's 100 pounds, you know.
Definitely.
So,
yeah.
And for it to be for the X Division title, it was a hell of an honor. So
yeah. So dream match, whether it be somebody who's alive, dead, retired, anything. Do you have a dream match?
Oh, that's not fair. All right. I think, okay, so I'm going to break this down in 3 ways. Okay. For me, for the fans, and someone who's no longer with us. Okay. So for me, a dream match for me, I would say if you could still do it and it would still be good, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's a match that I would want for me. If I had to be selfish for once, I would say for me, you know, if Bret could do it and it would be good and it would be good for him, then I would love to do that match. And then for the fans, of course, you know, I see these we're always tagged together and things. Will Ospreay, that's the match. I know that's the one they want. You know, I'm gonna try to get it done. We'll see. And then someone who's no longer with us, of course. Again, this was kind of for me a little bit too, but Big Van Vader versus Franco Varga, I think would be a hell of a match.
Yeah, that would be cool to see.
Just two guys beating the hell out of each other. So yeah, he was definitely a huge influence for me. I mean, if you hear my entrance music, I mean, it's Vader time, Vader, you know, like it's at the beginning. I pretty much took a big chunk of his stuff, and as far as his entrance was phenomenal to me. I think one of the best entrances of all time. Oh
yeah, I love that big mask, the big helmet piece that he wore. You know, you know, people always give that they tell like Legion of Doom and all these other.
Vader did it first.
Yeah,
Vader did it first. Everyone stole from Vader.
It was cool too.
It was super cool.
Okay, so I always, as a kid, thought it was an elephant. Because
it's a mastodon.
It is, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because I always saw that and it looked like the trunk down the front, and somebody tried to tell me that it was like, no, it's like a gas mask or something. I was like, okay,
no, it's the mastodon. He's he's a big man, just like the mastodon was the biggest thing on Earth.
Yeah,
at the time. You know?
Okay,
so
yeah. I was always a Van Vader fan from a kid. I would do the, you know, where he would do the thing with his hands and everything too. So yeah. I was a big fan of old WCW. You know, I'm 35, you know, so I remember WCW before it became Monday Nitro and stuff. And, you know, that's when I first started watching it, was with my uncle. So I remember seeing all that stuff back in the day.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I'm an 88 kid too. So,
okay.
Huge. I mean, he was the only guy that for a long time made me fear anything pro wrestling. Yeah. You know? So I was like, oh, wow, who's that? You know? And then, you know, I'd say a close second would be Razor Ramon. I think me versus Razor Ramon would be another dream match for me. But he did break my heart a little bit when I was like, what do you mean he's not a Spanish dude? I was a little kid. I'm like, who's Scott Hall? That's Razor Ramon. Like, no, he's just playing a character. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I was very upset.
That's kind of like with me. I was very upset because, you know, we were kids then when Hulk Hogan made the jump to be the third guy in the Outsiders. You know, I was so upset because I was such a big Hulk Hogan fan when I was a little kid. Yeah. You know, I had the hat and everything, and I was wearing the hat whenever I found out about that happening.
Oh, no.
And, man, I took it off and threw it on the ground, and I cried a little bit and everything. I just never forgot that.
Oh, yeah.
That was my first taste of, you know, maybe something's a little different here. So,
yeah, it's iconic.
Very much so. So, do you have anything coming up that maybe you want to talk about?
Gosh, I don't want to say anything that I'm like not allowed to talk about yet. But
right.
I think I mean, I'm excited for a lot. There's a lot coming up that I know the fans are gonna you know, be excited about. You know, SAWFT Swaft. No, I'll just leave it at that. That.
All right.
But and then yeah, I mean, there's a lot internationally that I have slotted for me in the schedule. So I'm always, you know, always excited for that. And then of course there's a lot of when I'm here at home, there's a lot of companies that I'm excited for I'm at the stage where like I want to help grow companies. I don't want to do the WWE thing. I don't want to chase the what are they called now, TNA.
Yeah.
And I just more power to them. I have a lot of friends there.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. It's not what I want to do. I want to help grow companies. I want to help not the really little ones, but I want to help like the medium-sized companies become large companies. And that's kind of what my focus is when I'm home. So like Hype and Glory, the TSWs, which TSWs got it's grown so fast. So fast. I remember, they were at like 80 people. We got them up to like easy 200. So now this next show I think is headlined by myself versus Fuego del Sol. And that show, I'm hoping it sells out, but it's looking like it's gonna be close. So,
okay.
And then we did myself versus Warhorse for TSW, and I was their biggest crowd. So that's kind of what I'm into now. I want to help get these companies to the next level, the next spot. And if I can do that with growing myself at the same time, I mean that's kind of how this works. It took me forever to figure that out. But we're here now. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I'm looking forward to a lot, and looking forward to the constant headache of a 1-year-old. Now she's going to be 2 soon by the end of the year. So terrible 2s all over again. I thought I was done, and I guess not. So
I'm holding on to that with me. My kids, I've got 13 and 14 this year. And when they graduate high school, I'll only be 41. So I'm holding on to that. I no more kids.
No, we were one and done. And and for all the guys out there, there's always a 3% chance.
Yeah.
And the 3% chance, now she's here. She's a year old, and I always post pictures of her and stuff. She's an awesome kid, and this really, really kind of reminds me of just kind of everyone with their babies and stuff now, and is how hard it can be to not be home all the time.
Right.
Because I was in that groove where I was constantly in Australia or this place, that place, and I'd be able to like FaceTime him and be like, hey, what are you up to? Or, here's your allowance. It's not easy with a kid. With a baby, they're like, no, where are you? They're crying and stuff. They don't want allowance. They just want you there.
Right.
So it's hard. It's hard to leave every weekend.
Yeah, definitely. So if people want to keep up with everything that's going on with you, how can they do that? Yeah,
of course. I always say the best place to follow everything me is francovarga.net. Takes you to everything. Especially t-shirts, DVDs, all that. But if you want to follow me on any social media and any of my wild antics and just my travels, I'm on everything. I think other than Snapchat, I don't think I'm gonna do that one. But at Franco Wrestles on everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I gave in and got a TikTok over the pandemic. Yeah, and I don't regret it. It's actually a fun app to be on. So
definitely.
But yeah, that's me at Franco Wrestles on everything, or francovarga.net for everything else.
Awesome. And if you could give a piece of advice to somebody who maybe wants to start getting into wrestling, what would you tell them?
Don't. No. I would say, a big thing about the first 5 years of wrestling is your training. And I would say pick a school that unfortunately it's gonna help get you a little farther, but pick a school like a Booker T, or like somebody who's got the notoriety of and unfortunately I know I say this because I know where I'm at in my career now that I wouldn't do that, but like I know starting out, I think that bites a lot of people where they go to like a local school to them, and it's if you really want to do this and you really want to skip a lot of the steps, the hardships and the hard, like you want to really take the easy road, go to like a Booker T or like a Ken Anderson or someone like that who's going to be able to not necessarily open doors for you, but I mean,
having your name attached to you is going to help.
Yeah, you're going to have that name, and it's kind of like a buzz thing where it's kind of like, oh, this is, I know his trainer, so I'm going to give him a shot. where when it's like he was trained by this guy who's really good, but he never really, did anything or anything like that. And it's kind of like, well, I don't know him, so I don't know this kid.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate truth about it. So if I was starting all over, I would go to like a Booker T or a Ken Anderson or a Dudley Boyz or something like that. I would pick up and move and go there and kind of, hopefully you don't have a wife, kid, family, all that to do all that. Yeah. Hopefully you're the single and you can actually just pick up and move and go somewhere.
Right.
Then I would do like a school with a name attached to it just for that simple fact. Now, once you get 3 years and in, it's no longer going to matter. It's going to be about merit and dependability and how good you are in the ring and social media. That's the biggest parts. I mean, there's a lot of guys that I've been in the ring and just aren't good, but they have 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
And that's all that mattered to that promoter,
Yep.
And I was honored to be in the ring with them because that promoter chose me to be the one, like, he knew, like, okay, I know this guy's not that good, but people are going to come to see him.
Yeah.
So can he just take care of this guy?
Yeah.
So to me, that's also a good thing, but
it's a compliment.
But yeah, it's a compliment, but at the same time, you don't want to keep being that guy.
Right.
Like, I've seen a lot of people, 40s and 50s and 60-year-old wrestlers now that were that guy.
Yeah.
When Flair came into town, or when Dusty came into town, or when just anybody who used to be on TV came into town, that was the guy who wrestled them because they took care of him and they never became a guy themselves.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I was just like, okay, I need to not do that. Now, it's an honor, of course, and if you look at my schedule, there's a lot of times where it's like Franco Varga versus another name quality guy. And it's like, I get it. And I get it's for the fans.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm always very wary of, like, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be my own thing.
Right.
So, and that's something, again, in the beginning, you don't have to worry about that. Just go with the flow.
Yeah.
If you're good enough to get picked, awesome. Just go with the flow. But as you progress and as you get up there, you got to stop and, okay, wait a minute. Do I want to take this match? Because what does it do for me? Where does it get me on the next day?
Yeah.
Every match equals something else.
Yeah. Man, this has been great talking to you tonight.
Thank you, man.
I've really enjoyed this. I'm glad we were able to get this set up after having some technical issues the other night.
I hope it was worth the wait. I will say,
definitely.
Hope it was worth the wait. Hopefully, I see you in Texarkana. I think you said you're in Arkansas. I'm in Arkansas for the first time.
Okay.
In March.
Okay.
It's a state that I wanted to get off. So now I think it's. I think I got to get Rhode Island and Hawaii, and I'm done. That's America.
There you go, man.
so yeah, Arkansas and that's Hype and Glory Wrestling is another place that I can't wait to see them become this big promotion in Arkansas.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, March 1st, come through.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, you have a good night, and I will talk to you next time.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Hey, avid podcast listener, come on over to the Zero to Hero podcast to listen to Billy and Jimmy, myself, talk about all kinds of things from the Nerdverse, Power Rangers, Gundams, anime, random TV shows, diseases, economic turmoil, and how to scam people on crypto.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Dawn.
And if you've ever watched a TV show and thought to yourself, oh my god, that season finale plot twist was absolutely bonkers.
Or seen a movie and thought, wow, I need to talk to somebody about this train wreck immediately.
Then we think you'll fit right in with our podcast, I Hate It, Let's Watch It. We watch TV shows like Riverdale and Emily in Paris.
And movies like Deep Water, Killer Sofa, Rubber, and Deadly Illusions. And we give them the total rinsing they deserve.
It's basically group therapy for movie masochists. So come check us out wherever you stream podcasts.
All right, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed that episode with Franco Varga, and I just want to say thank you to him for taking time out of his busy schedule to be on my show, because as you know, he travels all over the place. Next month, he'll be debuting in Spain, actually, so that's some really exciting stuff, and I can't wait to see more of what he's doing and possibly get him back on the show in the future. So my next guest, as it stands right now, will be my former co-host. As you know, I used to be part of the Diamond State Wrestling Rare Cut, and I didn't do that show by myself. I did it with a co-host, and his name is Jamie Rose. I'm going to have him on. We're going to talk about Diamond State Wrestling and pretty much just talk about whatever we want to, just have a good time. I'm very excited for that to happen, so make sure that you tune in next week to hear that episode with Jamie Rose. But while you're waiting, make sure that you go out there and follow my podcast networks, the OIW Podcast Network, the Zio to Hero Podcast Network, and the Avenue Podcast Network. Make sure that you go out there, follow them, listen to some of their episodes. They've got all kinds of great content. I'm very proud to be a part of these podcast networks, so go out there and show them some love. I have merch out. In fact, my guest this week, Franco Varga, actually asked for one of the hoodies. So if you want to be like Franco Varga, get you one of these hoodies and support the show. All this goes back to helping out the show to progress, to do better, and do more stuff for you guys. Because I love doing this show, but it does cost from time to time, and so every little bit helps. So if you want a piece of merch to support this show, make sure you do that. I've got some really cool ones. I've got the hoodies with the "Hello, all my beautiful people" on the front, and then my big logo on the back. I've also got the Dad Bod Club, which is kind of a Bullet Club looking shirt with my logo on the sleeve. And then I have my original shirt with the If You Give a Dad a Podcast logo, the kind of rectangular looking one that's on the front. So if you want any of those, just hit me up. Send me a line. You can send me an email or a message on Facebook or Instagram or wherever. Tell me what size you need, where you want it shipped to, and we'll get that right out there to you. If you like the way my ending theme song sounds on this show, make sure that you go out there and follow D-Cure. He is the man who created it for me. He makes amazing content. And show him some love, follow him, listen to his music. It's great stuff. Also want to give a shout out to Original Geek. They've got some really cool stuff coming out. We've got the 8th Day comic that is going to be coming out at the end of this month. So make sure that you go out there and pre-order your copy of the 8th Day. There is also some sales going on if you want some merch from there as well on their website. You can get t-shirts right now, I think, for $10 is what it is. And they are discontinuing their black and white comics. So they have them for $2 a piece on their website as well. So make sure that you go out there and get those before they're gone, because after that, there aren't any more. I'm happy to say I have copies of them. I got them when they first came out, but make sure you go out there and get those. Also, they're going to be putting another advertisement like they did in Paladin. Well, I'm also going to be advertised in the 8th Day as well. And thank you to the guys over there for doing that for me. And I will be announcing any new content that is coming out there as well. We're probably going to be doing some more live stuff here in the future because we are going to be doing some different cons and stuff together. The next one that we're actually doing is PTX Con, and that is in Paris, Texas. I was invited to set up there, and Original Geek is going to have a booth right beside me. So if you want to come out and say hi to Original Geek, or if you want to come out and say hi to me, you can do that. I will also have merch there as well. So make sure that you come over there and say hi to us. See some awesome stuff. There's going to be all kinds of great guests there as well. Come on out. So as I'm talking, you hear me bring up social media. If you're wondering where you can follow me at online, you can do so by going to If You Give a Dad a Podcast on any of the social media sites in the search bar. Just type that in and you'll find me. You can also look me up on Google. I'm usually the first 10 to 15 results that you find on there as well. Or if you want to send me a line, send it to giveadadapodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send your orders there, you can. Or if you just want to tell me what you think of the show, that would be great. I would love to hear from you guys. Also, if you could, do me a huge favor. Go out and rate and review this episode. If you like it, let me know. The more people that do that, the more likely I am to be recommended to somebody else. And I would love to see this show grow. I've already seen, quite a big growth in the last year, but I just want to see it get bigger and bigger because I do love doing this. And the more people that listen, the more that I know that you guys are enjoying what I am producing. Also, make sure that you go out there and like, share, and subscribe to If You Give a Dad a Podcast. Hit the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new episode drops. So, we've come to the end of another episode here. And just want to say thank you to you guys for listening every week. The ones who are have come back and listened throughout all this time, or if you're a new listener, thank you for being here. I really appreciate everyone who comes and listens to my show every week. But it is now time for Billy's favorite part of the episode, and that is Dad Joke of the Week. Why is dark spelled with a K and not a C? Because you can't see in the dark.
Jared, you stay over there. You stay over there. Yeah, you get back. You get back right now.
I'm done with this guy.
Over there.
I'm bad.
No, bad.
Let me out.
I'm getting the spray bottle. I'm getting the spray bottle.
Dang it. I'm gonna swing. Spray bottle. I'm gonna put them on walls of Jericho.
All right. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye.
I'm in my room rounded, but I got a podcast on. He calls us beautiful people, then tells us who we have on. The best part of my day, though we're blocked out in my pods. Tell my friends all about it so that they follow along. And the host is kinda nerdy, but guess what, I am as well. I don't feel so alone and I began walking out of my shell. Heard a story, I need a connection I haven't felt. I'll be looking for the next one, till then farewell. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. Listen closely, download and tune in remotely. It's the podcast for me. Have it on, better go see. And listen closely, download and tune in remotely.
This podcast is part of the OIW Podcasting Network.
All right, cool, sweet, baby Jesus. Okay, cool.